Good morning and welcome to the 143rd commencement exercises of Holbrook Junior Senior High School. Would you please remain standing and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, Will you please remain standing and pause for a moment of silence in memory of our loved ones who cannot be with us here today, and in honor of those, past and present, who have served or are currently serving our country, especially recent graduates Michael Eschner, Robert Stevens, Ian Sumner, Gianfranco Paredes, Pamela Rudnicki, Kristen Haley, Paul Page, Casey Supernaut, Michael Tran, Kaylee Seville, Josh Davidson, Alex Acapinti, Michael Santarelli, and all Holbrook alumni who served or are currently serving our country. Thank you. Please remain standing as our chorus will now sing our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. Please be seated. Continuing under the direction of Mr. Jeffrey Hobart, our chorus will now sing a selection, I Hope You Dance.
I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You got your fill to eat, but always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. You still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. Whenever one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me that you'll give faith a fighting chance. You get a choice to sing out or dance. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. You never fear those mountains in the distance. Never settle for the path of least resistance. Never time taking chances if there were taken. Falling might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Don't let some foolish heart leave you bitter. When you come close to selling out, reconsider. Give the heavens above more than just a passing glance. When you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. Constant motion, always rolling us along.
Thank you, Mr. Hobart and the Junior Senior High School Chorus. It is now my pleasure to introduce Class Treasurer Sarah Crowley.
Good morning, Superintendent Dr. Lally, Assistant Superintendent Hamilton, Principal O'Brien, Assistant Principal O'Driscoll, elected officials, Staff Sergeant Eschner, faculty, staff, esteemed alumni, family, friends, and fellow graduates. Thank you all for joining us here today on this momentous occasion to celebrate Holbrook Junior Senior High School's graduating class of 2015. I would like to begin by taking a moment to thank the parents, guardians, family members, and friends who have all helped us make it here today, especially my family and my mom, who has always supported me and stood by me no matter what. She is the strongest person I know, and I would like to give her a special thank you today because without her, I would not be here today, let alone in this country. I would also like to thank teachers, faculty, and staff without whom this day would never have been possible. And last but not least, I would like to thank everyone in the community that had part in getting the new school building passed. For years, this town has talked about getting a new school building for its students, and for years, these talks were always thought to be dreams. However, on November 4th, 2014, a day that we will all remember for a very long time, we got the new school building passed. Even though we, the class of 2015, will not have the privilege to attend the new school, I am happy to see that the future generations of Holbrook will be educated in a state-of-the-art facility that we all know that they deserve. So finally, I would like to thank all of you for making these dreams a reality. As you can see, we are a relatively small class, and we have had a unique experience here over the past few years that is unlike any other class. During this time, we've had 4 principals, 3 advisors, and 2 different guidance counselors. As you can imagine, these are a lot of changes to be experienced by one class, and is part of what makes us special. For many of us, we have spent the past 13 years of our lives here in Holbrook Public Schools. In financial literacy, Ms. McDonough taught us that every day of high school is worth $402 because the difference between the lifetime earnings of a person who graduated high school and a person who didn't is a total of $290,000. Although we did not get paid to go to high school, having graduating high school opens more doors than most of us realize. It was not all just for a piece of paper and a handshake, but for a chance to create a better life. While writing this speech, I thought about today, our graduation day, and what I wanted to say. But when I sat down to actually write it, I struggled to find the words I believed would bring some sense of closure to the end of our high school careers. The task was daunting, and what I thought would be something easy to do took me a lot longer than I had ever imagined. But then, one day, just a couple weeks ago, we were doing one of Gal's projects, the words came to me so fast I couldn't type it quick enough. We've done many projects that have taken a lot of time and effort with Ms. Gallagher, who's been our class advisor for the past 2 years. Many of you will never forget filling candy bags at 6 a.m., decorating masks for prom, and etching glasses over April vacation. One day, we were working on the centerpieces that most of you saw at class night. Gal had printed off at least 400 pictures from over the past 13 years. There are pictures from our class trip to the Little Red Schoolhouse when we were in 3rd grade, Newport, Concord, and New York. There are ones from homecoming and prom and birthday parties. And I was able to look back and see how much we have all changed and grown and matured. Some of our classmates left for another school, and others left but wound up right back here in Holbrook. I think that those who left and came back ended up where they were supposed to be. The class that sits here before you today is one of intelligent thinkers, amazing athletes, creative artists, and so much more. Looking at these pictures and thinking about the future, this speech, and what small piece of myself I could impart before I depart, I realized perhaps the image I was looking for was right in front of me all along. Having not even left high school, we have already achieved so much, but the road ahead holds so much more. Just imagine what we can do beyond these walls in the real world that is full of endless possibilities. My whole life, I've heard people question the kids in Holbrook and the education that you can receive here. Before you sits today, the class of 2015, we are proof of all that can be achieved here at Holbrook Junior Senior High School. As a class, we have been accepted to amazing colleges, received many athletic awards and championships, and founded the school's first robotics team. We are proof that if you put in the effort, then anything is possible, no matter how many people say that it isn't. 13 years have passed since our first steps into the Kennedy School, and over these 13 years, we've seen all the ups and downs that life has to offer. We have lived through many tragedies, school shootings such as Sandy Hook, natural disasters such as the earthquake in Haiti, and acts of terrorism such as the Boston Marathon bombing, and many of us have been affected by the continuous conflict in the Middle East. But through tragedies, we've also been able to see how people can come together to get through them, such as how Boston came together when the marathon bombing occurred, and even in a small town like Holbrook when the shooting at Fort Hood occurred. While there will always be tragedy in the world, over the past 17 or 18 years of our lives, we have learned that it is not the tragedy itself that defines us, but the actions that follow it. The future starts slow, and life is a journey of more than just 1,000 miles. But as many of you have heard before, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Today is our first step out into the real world on our own. High school graduation is one of the first large milestones a person reaches in their life, and today is the day our journey truly begins. While many of us will be taking similar paths as we move toward the future, no path will be identical to another. Whether you are entering the workforce, joining the military, or going to college, we all have the chance to become something we have always dreamt of becoming, because the only limits that are placed on us are the ones we set ourselves. The world we live in today is not the same world our parents grew up in. It is not even the same world that we grew up in. The world we live in is ever-changing, and we can be that change that moves us into a new age. Finally, I would just like to congratulate everyone in the class of 2015. It's been a pleasure not only to serve as your class treasurer, but also to be your classmate and your friend. As we walk out these doors today, I want you to remember these past 13 years of our lives, but also to prepare to move forward as the first major change of our lives is upon us. No one in this room is a stranger to boundaries, goals, or expectations. Sometimes these things can hold us back. But as we take this first step, I ask you all to push these boundaries, surpass these goals, and exceed all expectations, because the sky is no longer the limit. We can all make it to the moon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Today's first honor essay will be given by class salutatorian Lawrence Valeros.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers had a dream. They had a dream that one day, that's the wrong speech. Sorry. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the commencement of the class of 2015. I would like to begin by first congratulating all of my classmates and their families for achieving this long-awaited milestone in our lives. We spent years working toward graduation, and now this day has finally come. We all made it here together as a class, and I'm truly honored to be speaking in front of all of you. The countless amount of hours we spent in the classrooms and hard work we have put in has finally paid off. It has finally led to this very day. The idea of graduating may be difficult to grasp for some, while for others, it hasn't come soon enough. But whichever camp you are in, after today, we may not even see each other anymore. We'll all be moving on, traveling our separate paths. We won't be comparing schedules and seeing what classes we have together, or casually seeing one another in the halls. We won't be sitting down and talking as we eat our lunches in the cafeteria. We won't be opening and rummaging through our lockers for what binder to get for the next class. We won't be going to Holbrook High anymore. Whether that path leads us to the military, work, or continuing school and college, we won't be going to high school anymore. Today is the last day we'll be able to share a moment together as a class. As I stand up here in front of all of you, let's look back and reminisce at our time here at Holbrook High. High school has been a blur. These past 6 years, gone. I still remember the first time I ever came to the school. I was just a little sixth, soon-to-be seventh grader with a bowl haircut, walking through these halls with the rest of the class. I thought this school was huge. I was particularly excited to finally have my own locker instead of having those cubbies you were given in elementary and middle school. That quickly changed, though, when I found out I had a bottom locker that year. I couldn't get my locker combination to work like most of us, and the kid with the top locker kept dropping his binders on top of my head. That was until we just gave up and just tried breaking the locker instead, too. We had a real big wake-up call, though, when we heard that there was no snack time and no recess. We have been accustomed to the school with each passing year. We were once the little kids of the junior high to now young adults ready to receive our diplomas. These halls that had once seemed so big only seem to have gotten smaller. We were once scared of the seniors to now seniors scared of the real world and what lies outside these walls. Along the way, we've made lasting relationships. We've made many different friends who have been there for us, and hopefully some who will still be there after high school. During our time here at Holbrook High, we have all made many different memories, from field trips to high school events, with friends and teachers. These memories would not have been made. We participated in spirit days and all got together at pep rallies cheering on the relay race. We've watched and were even part of homecoming parade and gone to homecoming dances. We've been to Gloucester, the house at Seven Gables at Salem, saw Gatsby's house in Newport, and were even shoved into a small cabinet in the freezing cold at Walden Pond. Some of us got the chance to stand atop the Empire State Building, go to Madison Square Garden, and explore Times Square in New York City. We all got dressed up for prom and walked in Grand March. Some of us even went to Maine and Rhode Island for robotics competitions, only to win multiple awards, including Rookie All-Star. But who could forget that massive water gun fight after the last day of school last year? We may not have gotten to know each and every one of us as well as we'd like to throughout the years, but we are still a class. I think the closest we've ever been was a homecoming pep rally this year. For years, we saw past seniors break through that piece of paper, spraying people with silly string and running out like madmen with noisemakers. This year was finally our year. It was our turn. We were all dressed up with face paint, afros, beads, anything we could find that was blue and white, anxiously waiting to burst through. But once we did, it was just pure fun, excitement, joy, and adrenaline. Now, I can't say the same for the camera guy we ran over, but for him, there was probably adrenaline and fear. I mean, if there were 62 crazy kids running at me, I'd be scared too. But nonetheless, that was probably one of my favorite high school moments because I got to spend it with the entire class, with all of you. It'll be a feeling I'm definitely going to miss. However, it'll be a moment I'll never forget. We've had teachers we have loved, and some maybe not so much. But it is important to remember, though, that these special individuals have put their time and effort to help guide us throughout our time here. They've enriched us with knowledge and broadened our minds to critically think and solve problems. At times, we may have been sitting in the middle of class, very lost and confused, wondering, when am I ever going to use this in life? Trust me, I've been that student before. Even though we may not use every single piece of information we've learned in school, each subject aims to teach us valuable lessons to not only make us well-rounded students, but well-rounded people as well. I believe that I can speak for the class of 2015 when I say thank you. Thank you to all the teachers, coaches, and mentors for everything that you have done for us these past few years. You were the people we could ask questions to and approach when we needed help. You were the people that never gave up on us and always wanted us to succeed. You have seen us at our worst, but always strive to see us at our best. You all saw the potential we had as students and only wanted to build upon what we already know and improve from there. You saw us develop into the young adults we are now, teaching us, guiding us, and supporting us every step of the way. We may have taken things for granted in high school, but we know we would not be where we are right now without you. I'm sure we can all recollect a time we've had with these special individuals throughout our time here. I know this isn't much, but once again, thank you. From our early years, none of us would be here right now without the support of our friends and family. These people have sacrificed so much, and it is important to acknowledge all that they have done for us. Personally, I'd like to thank my mom for everything that she has done for my brothers and me. I know it isn't easy raising us by yourself, but you've made it possible. I know it may seem I don't appreciate the things that you've done for me, but just know that I do. You inspire me. You are my role model, and I surely wouldn't be standing in front of everyone here today without you, Mom. You were always the loudest person cheering for me in the stands. No, you really were. Anywhere I was, I could definitely hear you. However, I'll always be your #1 fan, Mom. High school has made us who we are. Actually, Holbrook has made us who we are. For most of us, we all remember starting out in the Kennedy and the South School until we made it to the high school. Holbrook is all we've known and what we're used to. Even though it may be scary to go out and finally be introduced to something new or something different, we should take things in stride and see what's out there. Step out of your comfort zone and explore new interests. The future can be scary and filled with uncertainty, but the future is what we make of it. I'm extremely proud of us and what we've been able to accomplish together as a class. I'm proud to say that I graduated from Holbrook Junior Senior High School's class of 2015. Even though our time here as students comes to an end, this is not a goodbye. We've started something that will never end, but will only continue as we leave our legacy here. Now, as we exit these doors one final time, as Holbrook Junior Senior High School alumni, let's write the next chapter of our lives. Congratulations to the class of 2015. We finally made it. Love you guys.
Thank you, Lawrence. Today's second honor essay will be given by class valedictorian Carmen Yun.
Good morning. It is a great honor to represent my fellow classmates on such a special day. Today marks a significant milestone for us, the class of 2015, because we are finally graduating. While I know many of you are eager to just get your diploma, celebrate, and move on with your life, I hope that you take the time to listen to what Sarah, Lawrence, Sergeant Eschner, Mr. O'Brien, Dr. Lally, and I have to say. I hope our words make you smile, make you remember, and make you think. 6 years ago, we entered the doors of Holbrook Junior Senior High School as children. But today, we will leave this building as young adults, with the exception of Kevin Marat, who seems to still act like he's 12 sometimes. But Kevin, don't feel offended, because there's a good chance that my badgering for help with calculus is not going to end today. It seems like only moments ago that I was crying before my first day here at the junior senior high school, because rumor had it that Mr. B, my first block teacher, was really scary. Fast forward 6 years, and while I'm no longer 12, I still think Mr. B is really scary. While some things have remained the same, the vast majority has not. Since then, we have grown together. Academically, socially, and even physically, we are all a few inches taller. Except maybe you, Nicole Melchiano. We started off as 7th graders, clueless about what our future entailed. Not knowing what to expect, we try to fit in, we try to make friends, and we try to figure out how to work our locker combinations, a thing that even some of my fellow classmates still struggle with today. As we got older, many of us got serious about our grades, SATs, and AP classes, while others fantasized about high school rituals such as prom and homecoming. Senior year is the year filled with mixed emotions. It's a year of stress, happiness, sadness, laughter, and tears. Lots of tears. Everything we have done for the past 6 years have been built up for today, our graduation day. Now, before I discuss our future, I would like all of you to take a moment to think back to the greatest moments we have created as a class. Look around for one last time, because if you have not realized it yet, the classmates you have spent 6 hours each day, 5 days a week for the past 6 years will soon go their separate ways. When will be the next time that we will actually come together again as a whole? Our class is so small that I do not think of us as a class or even a community, but as a family. We get into fights, there's drama, and sometimes we may even say that we hate each other, but in the end, we have great memories that unify us. No matter how different our lives ahead of us may be, we will always have these years at Holbrook Junior Senior High School, our indescribable tie. We all have a different path ahead of us, whether that path involves continuing our education or heading right into the workforce. Know that no matter how far away you may be, we will always have each other. I am proud to be part of such an amazing class. My years here have taught me that the opportunities for an individual student to shine in a small school outweigh the superficialities that a bigger school may offer. We may not have the most up-to-date technology or even a classroom with all of its ceiling tiles in place, but we do have an amazing group of teachers and students. Never forget that we are the class that helped to improve the MCAS scores for Holbrook Public Schools. Never forget that we are the class that shared our ideas for a new school to the school committee our freshman year, knowing that we would not benefit from it, but wanting it for the greater good of our community. Never forget that we are the class that persevered even with changes in 3 different advisors over the course of our high school career. Always note that even when you are put to a disadvantage in terms of resources, as long as you strive for success and work hard, you can thrive. Now that high school is at an end, I hope that each and every one of you will be able to take something from your experience here. I'm not just talking about leaving the junior-senior high school with an education and a diploma. Some of you have built lifelong friendships with your classmates. Some of you have developed a personal connection with a specific teacher that has made a large impact on you and your high school career. Some of you have created countless memories at sporting events, musical productions, and robotic competitions. Those who are lucky have developed all of these things and more during their high school career. After today, we will be all going off on our separate ways, living our lives and doing our best to make the most out of it. Our teachers provided us with an education, and our parents provided us with the path that has led to where we are today. It is now our time to launch ourselves into our future by making our own decisions and setting our own goals. I learned a lot senior year. I learned that Mr. Riso is not joking and scaring you when he says you have 3 weeks to write a 65-page paper for AP English. I learned that as math gets more difficult, you see less and less numbers and more symbols. However, the greatest lesson I learned this year is that life is a series of decisions we make and spontaneous changes. Up to now, most of the decisions we made were made by our parents and other authoritative figures. Where we will attend high school, what classes we will be taking, what time we have to be home by. This year, many of us made the first great decision of our life, what to do after high school, which may involve deciding on which college to attend, where to work, or whether to join the military. When I was making my big decision about where to go to college, I overanalyzed, stressed, cried, and feared that I was making the wrong decision. Now, there are numerous factors that are involved in the decision-making process, and with our future on the line, many of us will hesitate to make a choice, believing that it would be better off to maintain the same simple life that we are used to instead of diving into the unknown. Just imagine how different the world would have been if someone did not make a decision to do something unorthodox or unfamiliar. How different would our lives be if the Puritans never ventured off to the New World in search of religious freedom? How different would our lives be if Rosa Parks did not make the brave decision to refuse to get up from her seat? How different would our lives be if Steve Jobs did not return to Apple and create the amazing iPhone and revolutionize the mobile phone industry? While it is important to note the consequences that the choices we make will have on our future, it is just as important to take risk and seek change. You cannot control the world or the obstacles that it may throw at you, but you can control how you react to the situation by handling them with wiser decisions. So next time you face adversity, don't say, "Why me?" Instead say, "What can I do next?" Before I conclude this speech, I would like to thank some important and influential people in my life. I would like to thank my mother for being the strongest person I know. Thank you for always making me your first priority. While I may not always agree with your advice, I know that you truly want the best for me. You have surpassed your duties as a mother, not only providing food and shelter for me, but also acting as my best friend, listening and helping me with my daily struggles. Mommy, O'Oile, I love you. I would like to thank my teachers for dedicating the time and effort to provide me with a quality education, and also putting up with Kira Kelly and me, no matter how many times we bugged you about extra credit or asked you to show us our grades. And most importantly, I would like to thank you, the class of 2015, for 4 years of unforgettable memories. But simply saying thank you is not enough. We must demonstrate it through our actions. The greatest form of thanks we can give to our teachers, our family members, and our supporters is our success. We can prove to them that we have not wasted their time, money, or energy by thriving academically, economically, or socially. Our future is not filled with guarantees, but as long as we continue to strive for success, we will succeed. So as Teddy Bruschi said during our field trip to Gillette Stadium in 8th grade, never give up. Never give up on your goals or dreams. Take control of your own future and make the most out of it. So my fellow classmates, I wish you the best of luck as we encounter the challenges of the world. Congratulations, the class of 2015. We have made it so far, and we will make it in the future.
Thank you, Carmen. I would now like to introduce Class Secretary Michaela Buckley.
It is my great pleasure to introduce today's honored guest, Staff Sergeant Michael Eschner. Alumni Sergeant Eschner, his wife Samantha, and both of their families have been actively involved in the Holbrook community for decades. Mr. and Mrs. Eschner attended Holbrook Public Schools from kindergarten through high school, graduating in 2003 and 2006, respectively. Sergeant Eschner enlisted in the Army Reserves in 2007 and has served in the Armed Forces for 8 years as a member of the military police. He was first deployed to active duty in 2008, where he trained Iraqi police. He was deployed again in 2013 as military police, working in a detention facility. Sergeant Eschner has received 3 Army Commendation Medals, an Operation Enduring Freedom ribbon with 1 campaign star, an Operation Iraqi Freedom ribbon with 2 campaign stars, and a Global War on Terrorism medal. He is currently a squad leader in the 344th Military Police Company. Sergeant Eschner is a prime example of a hardworking father, brother, husband, son, and soldier. The past October, Sergeant Eschner was selected as a candidate for the Holbrook Police Department and is scheduled to graduate from the Police Academy this August. Mr. and Mrs. Eschner are raising their family here in Holbrook, continuing their family's traditions of being active members of the community. And of course, we all saw their story on Fox 25's Mission Renovation and voted for them at least once every day from our cell phones, iPads, computers, and basically any electronic devices we could get our hands on. When we began to discuss whom we would like to speak at graduation, as soon as Sergeant Eschner's name was brought up, the other class officers and I knew that his inspiring story was a perfect fit to encapsulate Bulldog spirit. Please join me in welcoming Staff Sergeant Michael Eschner.
Thank you. Good morning, Superintendent Lally, Assistant Superintendent Hamilton, Principal O'Brien, Vice Principal O'Driscoll, esteemed members of the School Committee and Board of Selectmen, faculty, staff, alumni, family, friends, and most of all, the stars of the show, graduating class of 2015. I'm truly honored to be standing in front of you today, delivering this speech. I highly doubt that when Miss Moriarty used to see me sitting in the Vice Principal's office, that she would one day think that she would be watching me deliver this speech. I personally never imagined I would be given this humbling opportunity, as I am not a prominent politician, nor am I a great mind that has changed the world. I am a hundredaire, not a millionaire, with a face for radio and a spotty high school transcript. What I do know is that everyone's favorite part of a speech is when it's done, so I promise not to ramble on aimlessly. From this speech, you will not get any long-winded quotes that only the English teachers in the room can understand, nor will I express to you that your future will be all rainbows and success stories. If that's what you're expecting to hear from me, you picked the wrong guy. What you will get is the truth on what to expect and what will be expected of you now that you're beginning life in the real world. The circumstances you find yourself in right now may be quite overwhelming, potentially nerve-wracking to some. The lack of a clear and direct next step may be unnerving to some. It is the first time in your young lives that your next step is based solely on your decision. Yet if you remove the anxiety from the equation and look at the big picture, the unique situation that you find yourself in is a great, potentially once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After today, you have the ability to do whatever you want to do. Think about the gravity of that for a minute. Whatever you want to do. When is the last time you had options like this? More importantly, when do you think you will ever get this kind of opportunity again? It's happened to me twice. The first time I was sitting right where all of you are this morning, and I let it pass me by via a half-hearted attempt at college. The other was when I joined the Army. I took the entrance test and I scored high enough to do every job the Army had to offer. I know that may sound like I'm, as we say in New England, wicked smart, but for guys like me to get in, they got to keep it real simple. I chose to join the military police as I thought it would segue into a career in civilian law enforcement, which was what I wanted to do. But as I think back on it now, I view it with mixed emotions. I had the opportunity to do anything. I could have been a doctor, an engineer, or flown Apache helicopters. Now don't get me wrong, I'm extremely proud to be an MP. But I can recall sitting in my gun turret in Iraq, 120 degrees out, with the brutal sun beating down on my face, staring up at the heavens in awe, watching the Apaches fly by. The whole time muttering to no one, man, I wish I was one of those guys. The lesson learned from that humbling experience is to aim high. There is just one thing standing in your way to being anything you want to be. You are not special. You do not get to play an equal amount of time just because you showed up. From a young age, we watch cartoons that tell us how unique each of us are and that we should love everybody. How if you try and fail at something, you shouldn't get down because you're still awesome. We tell our kids the picture they colored is beautiful, that they played a great game, and that whatever happened wasn't their fault. It's what I do for my kids. It's what all good parents do for their kids. It is our charge as parents to soften the blows you endure while growing up. But before long, all of you will abruptly depart that inherently forgiving place. Once you hit the real world, that picture you colored isn't awesome, it's awful. The colors clash and you drew outside the lines. You will not hear good game because you struck out twice and had 3 fielding errors. But you will hear that you failed because you didn't try hard enough. And that is your fault. The biggest thing to remember as you enter the real world is that not everybody gets a trophy. When I made the transition you are making today, I had a difficult time. It took me quite a while to get out of that trophy mindset. I assumed it would all just fall into place for me, because that's how it happened in high school. I didn't have to do homework because I understood the material in class, and that was good enough for me. Why put in the hours to study and get an A on a test when I could come in cold off the streets and pass it with a C? I fell into a routine of mistaking good enough for exceptional and lackluster participation for hard work. I was well on my way to finding myself cast adrift into a sea of mediocrity that was filled with phrases like I could have, I was going to, I planned on. I resolved to not let that happen, and I sat down and refocused on the goals I had for my life and the steps I would need to take in order to attain them. What I didn't understand at the time, though, was how drastically the game changes when you become an adult. When it comes to hard work, what was once considered exceptional will soon be considered expected. No one will be there to high-five you every time you put in a few extra hours at work or study. Few, if any, will care that you decided not to go out with your friends because you had less enjoyable matters to attend to. Have you ever tried to tell your parents, or even more so your grandparents, how hard you have it? Well, if you did, I'm sure they told you how they walked to school, uphill, both ways, in a snowstorm. For some, the lack of positive feedback and the lengthy time it may take to earn the right to reach your goals may prove difficult. This is why, regardless of what your goals may be, they need to be the sole and overriding focus of your life. Your goals must be paramount to all else, for if they are not, you will find reasons to justify not completing what you have set out to accomplish, because I can guarantee you that it will not be easy. You must have an unwavering confidence that the road you plan to travel is the correct one, and a belief that the difficulties you encounter along the way can be overcome. It is indeed a challenging road, and there will not only be bumps along the way, but boulders and mountains as well. The funny thing is that bumps always seem like boulders, and boulders like mountains. And the mountains seem hopeless. I can assure you that if you have anything less than steadfast determination and a relentless work ethic, they will be. Yet if you exhibit those two characteristics, determination and work ethic, you have the keys to the kingdom. If you are willing to make the commitment to yourself and endure the sacrifices you will undoubtedly be forced to make, your road will be viewed more as the excitement of a difficult journey rather than the suffering of an unwanted expedition. The mountains will begin to look more like rolling hills, the boulders will turn to pebbles, and the bumps will be absorbed without notice. On this road, you will also encounter many bends, forks, rainstorms, well-wishers, and naysayers. Your commitment to the goals you have set forth will be tested, and your resolve to see them through will be tried. I have complete confidence that the members of this class will tactically decipher which fork to take, weather any storm, and use the naysayers' words to fuel your will to reach your next checkpoint. But although I advise you to make your goals the driving focus of your young life, I caution you to ensure those goals do not become all-consuming. For if your goals override who you wish to be as a person, then you will soon find yourself making the easy wrong decision rather than the difficult right one. At the end of the day, you need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and respect the person you see, because if you can't, why are you even getting out of bed? What's the point? From the moment we begin to understand, we formulate our morals and values from what we see in the world around us and from those that we share our lives with. We use these beliefs to aid us in navigating the often tempestuous sea of life. With many people, though, there is often one trait or quality that, for whatever reason, reigns supreme in their eyes. One that doesn't help them navigate the waters, but acts as a lighthouse, safely guiding them to shore when all the charts and instruments have failed them. A belief that they use to sculpt their lives. There are many different words and phrases that may surface when thinking about values. Honor, respect, and loyalty are just a few that come to mind. However, I contend that there is one that reigns supreme due to its all-encompassing nature: integrity. By definition, integrity is an adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, honesty. For me, this one word is the be-all, end-all with regards to how I live my life. It is the prerequisite for all others, because if you have integrity, then by default, you will, even unknowingly, display the aforementioned characteristics and many more. Now, to stand up here and proclaim my absolute adherence to this one word would be disingenuous, as I have no doubt there are at least a dozen people in attendance that with little trouble could recall questionable actions that I've taken in my life. Furthermore, I have not met a married man yet who, when asked, "How do I look by his wife?" answers with anything but, "Beautiful, honey." But I strive to embody it in every aspect of my life, every day. Nobody is perfect all the time, and that right there is the tricky thing about integrity. You either have it or you don't. Selective integrity means nothing, and an entire life's worth of good decisions can instantly be erased with one momentary lapse of reason. The most difficult part of integrity isn't necessarily if you have it, it's whether or not you can keep it. At the end of the day, it boils down to who you want to be personally and how you want to be viewed by those around you. For me, my goal is to not live a successful life, but to live a life of value. You should strive to be respected for being a good person, one of high character and morals. Integrity begets character. Character begets reputation. And in life, what you do pales in comparison to the manner in which you do it. A correlation can be made between what we have spoken about and the history that was made 71 years ago today. June 6, 1944, Operation Overlord, more commonly known as D-Day, the Allied invasion of Nazi-controlled Europe. 71 years ago today, over 150,000 Allied troops invaded Normandy, France, in the largest military invasion the world has ever seen, forever changing history. It amazes me when I think about the scale of this operation. It is almost beyond comprehension. The men responsible for the planning of D-Day had to be forward thinkers. They understood that it was their time and possibly their only shot to retake the initiative from Hitler's troops, and they went for it. They did not balk at this opportunity, nor were they going to make a half-hearted attempt. The underlying reason for their success was not necessarily the understanding of what needed to be done, but dreaming of what could be done. But as we discussed earlier, dreams in and of themselves only get you so far. Hard work, commitment, and perseverance are what transforms dreams into reality. The preparations required to facilitate that operation must have seemed insurmountable. Over 11,000 aircraft and just shy of 7,000 naval vessels were used in the invasion. That doesn't account for all the troops, weapons, ammo, and items as simple as T-shirts and socks that were needed. The sheer determination of the Allied powers willed an unthinkable task into a crowning achievement. The men and women involved, from the Supreme Allied Commander Dwight Eisenhower to the lowest enlisted private, made an unflappable commitment to themselves and the world to bear any burden and sacrifice asked of them in order to rid the world of the Nazi nightmare. Yet without our morals guiding us through that dark and treacherous time, our achievements would be for naught. One of the most glaring differences between the Axis and Allied powers, not just in that one battle, but in the entirety of the war, is the manner in which it was conducted. World War II is viewed with such romanticism due to the black and white nature of the factions involved. It was without debate, good versus evil. Hitler conquered Europe, oppressed millions, and murdered millions more. The world, led by America, took up arms against the Nazi brutality, marching across Europe not as conquerors, but as liberators. Righteousness was our watchword, and we returned liberty to so many who endured so much. I hope the similarities, although contrasting in scale, between the invasion of Normandy and the challenges facing you graduates are not lost. I challenge this class to emulate our greatest generation. I challenge you to embody the values that thousands died for on the beaches of Normandy 71 years ago today. I dare you to see what needs to be done and to stop at nothing to do it. You, as a generation, have the ability to slowly start pushing America back to the path that made this country great, the same path we have strayed from in recent decades. If you decide to undertake these challenges, you will not only help make our country better, you will possess the tools necessary to live a valuable life. I truly thank you for allowing me to speak today. Congratulations and good luck to the class of 2015.
Thank you for being here today, Sergeant Eschner, and for your service to our country. It is now my pleasure to introduce Superintendent of the Holbrook Public Schools, Dr. Lally.
Thank you very much. Welcome, honored guests, parents and guardians, school committee members, town officials, faculty, staff, administrators, and friends. And good morning, class of 2015. It is an honor to be addressing you as you leave Holbrook High School to enter the workforce or to continue your education. You will be amazing additions to either environment. Since I was not here, I do not know what you were like when you entered the junior-senior high school, so I have only seen the good side, with the possible exception of your recent paper recycling efforts. Some of you probably had some minor lapses of judgment when you were in junior high school, but you have grown into remarkable, mature adults. Having known you for the past 2 years, I can attest to your integrity, kindness, and resourcefulness that will ensure your success in any new situation. In your new environments, you will bring the qualities and attributes that you have demonstrated here every day with your interaction with staff and other students, both classmates and underclassmen. People who do not work in schools often fear teenagers and picture them as scary, callous, and disrespectful individuals. These stereotypes are far from the experience I have had here at the junior-senior high school. As I walk through the hallways, visit the cafeteria, or attend a performance, I have witnessed daily acts of kindness that come naturally to you. As Aesop noted in his fable, The Lion and the Mouse, I'm sorry, Sergeant Eschner, I had to do it, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. Opening doors for others, offering to carry items, and sharing your lunch table with those who do not have a regular seat, and thank you very much because I'm one of those people that you've allowed to sit at your table, all of which demonstrates your continual thoughtfulness that has helped enrich the culture of the junior-senior high school. As both The Lion and the Mouse in Aesop's fable realized, you can continue to change people's lives for the better wherever you go with the consideration that you have afforded us. An impressive example of your thoughtfulness has affected your peers in a neighboring high school. Knowing that Rockland High School has experienced the tragic loss of 3 members of the senior class, you have extended them an expression of your sympathy. Since both schools' mascots are the Bulldogs, sending the entire Rockland High School senior class your bracelets which state "We are all Bulldogs" exemplifies your compassion and your consideration. And I'm proud to be wearing one of your bracelets today. Your resourcefulness is evident in your fundraising endeavors. You do not complain about the lack of available resources for your clubs and activities. You collaborate with your classmates and you problem solve. The enterprising members of this class have sold me more cookie dough, soup, candles, blankets, glasses, as well as every variety of Holbrook accessories and attire. Bentley, Babson, and Bryant Colleges, the 3 outstanding business schools in the area, would be fortunate to have you in their freshman class in September. Honesty and trustworthiness are 2 of the qualities I value most in people. You have demonstrated that you possess these essential traits. I appreciated your candor when I have asked a few of you some very difficult questions, even when you thought you might be incriminating yourself or your friends. Moreover, I witnessed your honesty in what may seem like simple occurrences. For example, recently at one of the lunches, a student realized that she had left her phone in the locker room in a previous period. Although I told her she should check in the office, I really didn't expect that she would ever see that phone again. A few minutes later, the young lady happily displayed her phone that had been turned in by an honest student. My surprise turned to pride. Only in Holbrook and with these particular students would this be an expected outcome. Furthermore, it seems that you must have been raised on the principles presented on the children's television show, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. One of Fred Rogers' meaningful sayings was, "Life is for service." Although you would never attend the Holbrook pre-K, the new pre-K to 12 school, you promoted and some of you even voted for authorizing a building that would benefit those who come after you, as 2 of our class officers have already mentioned. You have demonstrated your unselfishness and your commitment to enriching the lives of others. The famous American anthropologist Margaret Mead stated, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." I would use this quote to describe the class of 2015. Changing the culture and atmosphere of Holbrook Junior Senior High School is one of your accomplishments. I know that you will be the forces of positive change next year in your new environments. Wherever you go, you will represent the school and your community. You will bring praise to Holbrook and enhance the opportunities available to the younger students from the district. I am confident that you will be the small group of thoughtful people who will change the world for the better. I would like to close my remarks by quoting one more famous person. On Thursday at class night, Michaela Buckley expressed that she hoped that the class of 2015 had made a lasting impression on the school community. Yes, Michaela, I hope that I've made it clear that you and your classmates have affected all of us in Holbrook, and undoubtedly you will continue to have a positive effect on a much wider audience in the future. Class of 2015, please stand. An important piece of graduation is the tribute to the people who enabled you to be here today, those who have supported you and contributed to your success. Look around the gymnasium and locate your families. Please give your parents, guardians, families, and friends a resounding round of applause. Also, the district-wide faculty and staff who have influenced you, have helped you form your thought process, have guided your academic development, and have provided some of your most memorable events deserve your thanks and applause. Please be seated. Class of 2015, thank you for your attention and your memorable company. I pray your future holds both good fortune and good friends. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Lally. And finally, please join me in welcoming Principal O'Brien.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dr. Lally. Thank you, Staff Sergeant Eschner. I'm new to Holbrook this year, and I was amazed at how welcoming this community is. I'm amazed at how welcoming the class of 2015 is. I'm amazed at your kindness. I'm amazed at the joy that you bring me every day when I walk into this building. Graduation is a tough endeavor to pull off, and I think some people need to be recognized for that. Secretaries Patricia Chisholm, Marie Moriarty, and Sue McLaughlin, I think you should be recognized, along with Maggie Gallagher. Maggie, ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate all your hard work. I thoroughly enjoyed working with you this year, but nothing could have been possible without your assistant principal, Mrs. O'Driscoll, who could probably give birth today. Shannon. Thank you. To the class of 2015, here's to the future. The only limits are the limits of your imagination. Dream out loud, at high volume, with the windows all the way down and the bass turned all the way up. It is my pleasure right now to introduce the class of 2015 to the chairman of the Holbrook School Committee, Mr. Arthur George. Arthur?
I first have to say that we used to read poetry at the dinner table, and a favorite of my dad's, who was celebrating his 75th anniversary of graduation from Holbrook High School. Let's give a round of applause to the class of 1940. One of his favorite poems was one by Wordsworth, and the first two stanzas went something like this. I heard 1,000 blended notes, while in a grove I sate reclined, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. And then the second stanza was, to her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Well, today, unlike the poet, we don't grieve what man has made of man, but rather we resolve and ask what man can do for man. And you have reached out to your parents, family, and friends, the faculty and staff, and applauded them for what they have done to you, and we're very excited what you have done so far in your lives and what you will continue to do. Now, these are the words I think you've been waiting for. In accordance with the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the school committee, I, as chair, do solemnly confer diplomas to you from the Holbrook Junior Senior High School, and I also state and proclaim that you're entitled to be called graduates with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Carmen K. Yuen. Kevin William Marat. Michaela V. Buckley. At this time, I'd like to invite the principal of the John F. Kennedy School, Michelle Callahan, to come present the diploma to her niece. Sarah Joan Yeeling Crowley. Lawrence Joseph Valeros. King David Anderson, Jr. Kari Rashad Bridie Lovelock. Robert Allen Chadwell. Amber Clark. Wayne D. Crosby. Arlenis Cruz. Brooke Amber Davis. Sean Jerome Denny. Andreina de Los Angeles Diaz. Darren Dew. Michael Duran. Julian Ray Reyes Fadrigalin. UJ Proctor Gaboya. Derek Nathan George. Michaela Jessica Gianci. Cassandra Gracia. Noel Graziano. Ryan Joseph Gramata. Congratulations, Ryan. Gina O. Garino. Brianna D. Hoffman. Abigail Ann Inglis. Jakaya M. Jones Robinson. Taisha Claire Joseph. Kira Bonnell Kelly. Jamie K. Kirby. Kamisa Layla Labadie. Tiffany Lauren Lapidez. Daniel Latari. Janelis Lopez. Tony Marie Manigault. Kyle William Maskell. Ethan James McAvania. Chloe Lynn McGraw. Nicole Rose Meltiono. Olivia Linda Moore. Donald James Moscone. Dennis Nguyen. Brendan A. Palmieri. Alyssa Emily Paul. Natalie L. Philemon. Samantha Marie Peasy. Stephen Michael Prusik. Michaela Richmond. Max A. Regard. Donna Ann Ryan. Christiana Bernice Sanborn. Michael David Scanlon Jr. Samir H. Shamsuddin. Liam Owen Smith. Alec Walker. Brandon Theodore Walker. Liam Christopher Walls. Sarah Jean White. Lisa Marie White. Nyla L. Williams. Joseph Alexander Yeb. And Colin O'Brien Mahoney. I will now ask Class Vice President Kevin Murat to return to the stage for the commemorative turning of the tassels.
Would the class of 2015 please rise? In recognition of our status as graduates, please turn your tassels from the right to the left. Now on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Seniors, grab your caps. This concludes the 143rd Annual Commencement Exercises. Thank you for joining us in today's celebration. I ask all guests to please remain in your seats as the Holbrook Bulldogs class of 2015 proceeds out of the gymnasium as the most recent alumni of Holbrook Junior Senior High School. Congratulations.